Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, this morning's video I am going to be talking about Rising Phoenix GameCon 2023, which was this past weekend from April 21st through the 23rd. This is my recap of my experience, really for the first time of running game sessions in person at a convention. I had gone to a previous convention back in September where I just attended as a player, and so that had shown me that was ShireCon, by the way. That had shown me, hey, you know what, um, this is not as complicated or as as nerve wracking to do, and I was fairly confident that I would be able to pull it off myself. So and it was at ShireCon that I met with Scott Legault, who is one of the chairpersons, I guess, or one of the organizers of Rising Phoenix GameCon. And I've known Scott for a couple of years. He actually played in my D&D Beck Me campaign about 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, actually. And so when I saw him at ShireCon, he was like, "Hey, you know what? I run or partly run Rising Phoenix, and so if you can, make it, you'd be certainly welcome." And so I had been planning this ever since September, and so and quite a bit went into the planning of this because it was, it is 3 hours away from my home. So, and I knew I was going to stay in the hotel for 3 nights. And next time I won't do that. I'll only go Friday, Saturday, and return home Sunday morning. But certainly not regretting having gone to the hotel the Thursday night. It was a very nice hotel. It was a DoubleTree Hilton, so really nice facilities, great food in the place. They had a breakfast buffet and a nice sports bar with really good food in a sports bar, and so expense wise, it ran me like 130 per night for the room, and then and the rooms are nice. The hotel was really nice actually, and the and probably about, let's say, $50 for $50 for food. Because breakfast. I was it was breakfast buffet, all you could eat. So I always packed like something a little bit like of a snack for lunch. So a bagel and cream cheese and a banana or something, and it was free coffee throughout the day. So that was certainly helpful. And so hotel wise, food wise, really really good. Uh, then I arrive, and so I am going to go through what my schedule was and what my experience in each of the games were, and then overall just talk about the overall experience that I had, which was super super positive. So let's go to I'm going to go to full screen here, and I was still unpacking and everything behind me. So one of the first things I did when I got there was what happened? Oh, sorry, got distracted here. Um, One of the first things I did when I got there was I picked up a Rising Phoenix Game Con dice bag. So, and this was on day two, obviously, of my getting there. This was on the Friday morning, and so as soon as they had the vending opened up, I was like, I need a dice bag because it really, really came in handy. I've never had one before, so it was certainly a useful utilitarian item that I got. You could see the T-shirt. I got the T-shirt actually a couple of weeks ago, so in preparation. So it was like I definitely want to go there and support the con and wear the shirt. So this is my shirt from Friday. So day one of the day one of the con on Friday. So let's go to my gaming schedule. So gaming schedule, my first thing, Friday morning at 8 a.m. from 8 to 12, I was in basic for breakfast. This was the DM for this was Ben Grime, and did a great job. This is my first time actually playing OSE, so so old school essentials. And my character I actually have here was Sprig. Sprig was a third level magic user, and of course, playing a magic user, fairly low level magic user throughout the adventure. Sprig died fairly close to the end of the adventure. He died with minus four hit points, so he took a pretty severe hit, and it was a great adventure, um, and a great group of people. So it was really a full table. I believe like five players, maybe even six players in that, and so that really kicked it off. I was like, wow, this was cool. Had a great time with it. And then right after that, that broke out at 12 o'clock. And then I went to lunch and then got ready for my game, Blade Runner. All right. So I ran the introductory. The introductory module, case file number one from Blade Runner here. That was in this is the starter set, obviously, and had two players. It was like touch and go. There was, at one point there was three players registered, and then it dropped down to two, and then there was always a chance of other people being brought to the table, but we went with two players, or at least that's what it ended up being, was two players, and these two individuals knew each other really well, and they played off of each other really well, and they actually kind of forced me to change up some of the story of the adventure to really match up with some of the directions that they were going in, and I think it literally made it a much better story than what was originally in here. So it's a perfect example of how players can kind of change up what you were looking to do, especially if you're following something. And they were really surprised at the end when I told them. I was like, that was something that I changed up because it was matching where you were thinking of going. Both of these guys were really good. They had more insight than their characters did, so they were like perceiving these things and thinking of these things that really did improve the session. So a great experience. My first time running any game in person in decades, so it was amazing experience. um, the one thing that I had to say about this box set though is that there are so many freaking handouts, and I think that the game system is very, very easy to use. I mean, it's very easy to learn, and they picked up on it within 10 minutes. They knew the whole thing down, what all of the steps and everything that they had to go through. Um, so these to write adventures for this would be really difficult, I think, because you'd have to kind of give all of those various options and everything, and different possibilities, and still leave it open up for even more on top of that. But it's a great game. They had a lot of fun with it. I had fun running it. It's a very simple game to run once you get over the hump of thinking that it's going to be complicated, and then you realize it's super simple. So it was a great experience, and they they completed the adventure successfully. They they only had one combat, so there was plenty of opportunities to have more combats in this, and they just happened to avoid most of them, with the exception of one. And even then, they were like, "Hey, this was really cool because we didn't even have to kill the guy; we just subdued the guy and arrested him." And they liked that outcome of it, so that was a lot of fun for them as well. So that was my first running of Blade Runner, first time running a role playing game at a convention live. And then I started getting psyched for my big event. This was the event that I signed up for. I signed up for the Ghost Tower of Inverness, being run by its author Alan Hammock, and to go into that kind of thing. And Alan was there early. I sat right next to him, and we had a fairly full table again. It was about five, yeah, five players at it. And so that was just a great experience. And to speak with Alan Hammock, and he was talking a little bit about the industry, and his time at TSR. And I have a we have a mutual acquaintance, or one of the people he knew back in TSR days was Kelly Foote, although they did not work in the same department, basically, or in the same uh, game area. They were kind of compartmentalized during then. Kelly Foote plays in my AD&D first edition game, and Kelly Foote was more so associated with Oriental Adventures, and creating adventures for cons in that game setting. Whereas Alan was working on other projects, and Alan left only about a year after. Alan left TSR in 1983, and Kelly Foote got there in 82 through 86. So there was a little bit of an overlap, and I exchanged the regards between the two. And so sitting down during that game, now that was a really cool game, obviously. And we got to the very end. Actually, there were six players, and we got to the very end, and we were in the last room, and the magic user in the group, for an unknown reason, really don't know why, he decides to cast a fireball, um, with very little notice for all of us, for everyone in the room. And of course, my character died along with two others. So he basically killed three other players in the group, which was, a little bit of annoyance. But it's a convention game, so those kinds of things do occur in convention games. You tend to lose characters in convention games. So that was the end point. And then Alan, because I had purchased this before going there, and here we have Alan signed it. So there is Alan Hammock, best Alan Hammock, and then RPG Con 2023. And he also, because he had asked us all to bring at least the player's handbook. And this is, by the way, this was my character. I was playing a thief, seventh level thief. And like I said, he basically survived till the very very end, and then was killed by player character. But Alan is also, he says, "Hey, if you don't mind," he says, "my name is in that book as well, and if you want me to sign it, I will gladly sign it." And so um, he appears here in these credits down over here, and so he signed it there as well. He said, next to Gary Gygax's fake signature, which I guess Gary Gygax didn't actually sign these, sign those. So, but great experience, and I will show you the slide uh, at the end, or the pictures at the end on the next screen, just to give you a little context and background. So that game, by the way, ran from 7 to 12 at night. So that was a 5 hour game session, and really a lot, really cool. Um, so now I go to bed, I'm exhausted and getting ready for Saturday morning. And Saturday morning is really officially like the first big game, day. Um, so, and I'm running an 8 o'clock game of Gangbusters BX from Mark A. Hunt, and I'm running my adventure. Whiskey Creek Runs Red. So here I have my own adventure, which is on Drive Through RPG, by the way. So you can pick up a copy of this if you wish. And I gave every player a copy of this, and so they parted with a copy of the adventure, um, my unscripted and unchained business card, and a set of dice. That was the other thing I did this year, was I decided that everyone that plays at my table is going to walk away with a set of dice as well. So had 3 players. Again, they did a really good job. The story went off well. Follow along. They did. Now I've run this in conventions before, just never in person, and they were not only successful in breaking up the gang, capturing everybody, capturing the main guy without having to kill him, and going through the whole process of the trial process and securing a conviction. And their conviction was rock solid. I mean, um, there was very little bending of the rules that they had to do in order to secure the conviction. They actually built up a solid case, um, without very much, without any wrongdoing on their part. All right, so they didn't have to, strong arm anybody to get the information that they eventually got. Um, so they great job. That was from 8 to 12 o'clock, and we wrapped up probably just a little bit earlier than that. Again, 3 players. In convention play, I see that, or at least this is my impression, my experience so far, is in the smaller groups, you can actually, it just runs much smoother than in very large groups. So it's something that I would kind of look to do possibly the next time, is to hard cap it at 4 players and see if that actually, does a good job and makes it run a lot smoother. But anyway, I only had 3 players in this one here, and 2 in my other, my previous. So, um, great experience. So finally, the third game of my, I'm sorry, second game of my Saturday was a Conan 2D20 game, and this was run by Matthew Notch Tribe. I hope I pronounced his name right. And this had about five. This had 5 players in it as well, and a great experience. A lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the Conan 2D20 system. As you can see right there is my whole collection of it. I have all like 22 hardcovers that came with that Kickstarter, and I've written adventures for it, and I've run it, quite a number of times, and so it's a lot of fun. It's just been a long time since I've played it, so I was excited about, playing a character in there. I took one of the pre-gens, and the pre-gen was a female Sumerian, warrior who was trained in Bosonia as an archer, and so that was kind of her. That was kind of how I role played her. And at one point in there, I felt that we were being abandoned by our guide, who we were actually escorting to bring to the to this unnamed city. It was a mysterious city that was rumored to have existed. So it was like a mythical city that we were looking for, and we got hit by a sandstorm, and you know I kind of felt that this guy had abandoned us because he discovered the entry to the city and was going to just leave us to our own devices, I believe. So when we got in there and we finally caught up to him, and we had come across some of these creatures that we thought were mummified, but they, of course, rose back and attacked us. And when we finally caught back up to him, he was like lurking behind this column, and I immediately turned, like, once he popped his head around to say, and he started saying, "Oh, there you are." I was like, "I'm shooting." I just fired an arrow at him. And the DM looked at me and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, I already fired an arrow. I'm shooting at him. I feel that he and I'll announce this. I announced it as a player. This guy abandoned us. I'm definitely putting one in him, and I fired a shot at him. Did something like 5 wound points, which is huge. I mean, I did a lot of damage to him, and if he were a minion, he would have been dead. But I guess he wasn't a minion. He was probably a veteran. He might have had 2 wound points, so I did enough to give him at least 1 wound point. And then he begged us, "Oh, don't kill me. I didn't abandon you. I was just so excited to get here. I've been looking for this place my whole life." And da da da. But we wrapped up that adventure. I allowed him to live. We got tons and tons of treasure, and then we departed, wrapped it up. So it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting for me to see how other players kind of, they get stunned when you just say, "No, my character did this," and boom, it's done. It's already done. And I think it takes some GMs and some players kind of off guard when you don't ask to do something, you just do it. And I think that's what that moment really felt like. So my final game was that evening, and this was a Weird Frontiers game. So it's based on DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and it's kind of like it's a weird western with undead characters and all kinds of like really weird occult kind of stuff. The book itself is like this thick. I mean, it is freaking huge. It has to be like 500-page hardcover. Um, the PDF, you can only get the PDF right now because Goodman Games had some trouble with this title because originally it was called something else, and Chaosium either threatened to sue them or they sued them for the title because it was, I didn't think it was very close to the original that Chaosium said that they owned, but I guess it was close enough and they didn't want to go through it. So Goodman Games had a hard time keeping this hardcover in stock, although it's got to be $80. I mean, literally, it's one of the thickest books I've ever seen. Um, it's like, if you see the box sets behind me over there, it's like 3 of those box sets put together. I wouldn't get it just because of that size, because it would take up too much of my shelf space. But game was super fun, and once again, I'm playing this undead character, and he was his background was that he was a railroad worker. So he got on to. We learned that some of the bad guys were coming up the tracks towards our town, and so on one of those pump vehicles, I forget what they call those things, um, but it was like a manual rail cart, and so I rigged I rigged our pump rail cart with dynamite, and I'm there chugging along, going the opposite direction. And my character was very strong, and 18 strength, and this guy was like a on the other cart was like a behemoth, like a almost like a demonic behemoth type of character. And so we're there heading towards each other, and I'm just pumping, 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 making strength tests. And the GM says to me at that point, you know, that and the GM here was Ian. Forgetting his last name at the moment. Um, he tells me at one point, he says, "You think that you should be at each other in about 3 rounds," and then I got like a super huge roll on my strength, and so I was able to close that gap by six, a factor of six. And then the opposition was probably did something very similar, maybe even faster. And there was just no time for me to jump off. And I was planning on jumping, actually, instead of jumping off to the side, or to the back and rolling, I was planning on jumping from my cart over his cart and end up on the opposite side, and maybe the blast would take me over there. But I just miscalculated the timing, and we collided, and the whole thing blew up. And so my character died, or was like completely obliterated in that. And um, the opposing character, he walked away from it, but he was really really screwed up from it, and he didn't survive very long once he did finally engage the rest. But the whole table was just yes, it was the most amazing thing. That they were like, what a great character death. And it really did make the game, I think, for all of us at the table. I really had fun with it. So, again, it's like when you're playing these games, um, I think it's best to, just say, this is what my character's doing, and just do it. And don't ask, can I? Just say, this is what I'm doing. And then let the GM make the judgment call of, whether they're going to allow it or whatever. But just be like right up front. In most cases, if you just say, this is what I'm doing, um, they'll let you just continue going along with it. And it just, I think, makes everything move much, much faster. So during the course of the the whole convention, uh, they were giving out what these called like gold pieces, right? They're little cards that you get, and they were handing out these gold pieces. And so when you run a game, you'll get 3 gold pieces, and then every once in a while, the GMs, when you do something really great, um, a lot of fun for everybody at the table, they'll award you some of these gold pieces as well. So during the course of the whole week, I had a weekend. I gained the six for running the 2 games that I ran, and then another 4 for as a player, at the tables. So, I consider that to be really, really awesome. And what I did was I picked up. Now, I was supposed to play in a Call of Cthulhu game on Sunday, but I was just like really tired, and it was a heavy storm coming through both New York and Massachusetts at the time, and so I decided I was just going to cancel everything I was going to do on Sunday, and just drive home early. But I did pick up the keeper's screen for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. So I didn't have this already. So it was nice to pick this up. And basically, I got it for 6 gold pieces. And then on the final day, Sunday morning, um, because I had earned another 4 gold pieces during my gameplay, and I picked up Deadlands. So I picked up Deadline. This is the first edition, and this was only 4 gold pieces, which I was really surprised. And then I saw why, because the binding of this is already like falling apart. I mean, literally, you could see where it broke free from the perforations here. Now, of course, I don't mind. It was free, so I can't really complain about it. But I will be doing a review of Deadlands sometime soon this week. So you know, what a phenomenal experience! And let me finish off here and just give you, so here's when I first entered, and this was on Thursday, and this is what was set up for Thursday already. So I took this picture here. This was here. They had much more decorations throughout the place. These were all taken on Thursday, and so they weren't completely set up yet. I should have taken additional pictures when everything was up and running and everyone was in place, and um, just give you a better sense. I believe there was about 450 people at this. So really good number. And this, of course, is myself taking the picture of the group that we were together with Alan Hammock on the right, holding up his module there. This is my setting right in front here that you can see, and then the rest of the players. Now, some of these players I also played in other games with, and this here is Ben, and he was the GM that I mentioned, and he ran the Beckme for not Beckme, it was Basic. He ran the OSE game in the morning. So great guys. This guy over here holding, with the beard, yeah, he was the magic user that killed 3 of us in the end. So, but still great guy. I mean, he was a lot of fun. He liked role playing and talking in character and doing strange things as a magic user. So it was really a good experience. So will I be going next year? Absolutely. Now I'm not going to go Thursday and end up costing me an extra $135 and dinner and stuff like that. Um, but overall, the entire thing probably cost me about $600 to attend for 3 days, and that's not too bad. I mean, considering $135 for the hotel itself, and then about $50 a day for food. So not really bad at all. So I think that if I can come in next year at saving about almost $200, it becomes like a $400 weekend experience, and that would be phenomenal. The other thing that I'm definitely going to do is I am definitely going to run some additional games. Now, it was each full day that I was there was 12 hours of gaming and 13 on the first day. So it is a long slog to get through those 2 days, and so just be prepared if you go to these cons, and you're gonna really pack out your schedule. Yeah, 12 hours of gameplay or 13 hours of gameplay is quite a lot. You're really just going. It doesn't feel like it until you get back to the room at the end of the night, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and it's like you're anxious to wake up the next morning by like 6:30. At least in my case, it was always get up at 6:30 or even 6, take a shower, go eat breakfast, and then have a little downtime just before the first day's game. Um, but so Scott Legault, thanks a lot for inviting me, and it was a great, great experience. I will be back there next year. So here was my badge the whole time. So Rising Phoenix Game Con Game Master. This was supposed to be hanging below it. I was like, I didn't understand the sticker thing, so I tucked it in there. And then I got my GM level 1 pin. So next year I'll be a level 2, and like I said, I'm certainly going to add in at least 2 sessions of one each day, at least 2 sessions of running a game. And I'll see. I'll probably bring something different next year. And I'm certainly going to run something based on my experience here. I'm definitely going to run something at ShireCon in September. So probably run Shadow Dark there because I just finished getting that, and I will have my hardcovers by July, I believe. So that'll be perfect timing, and I'll run something along with that as well. I'd also like to run Castles and Crusades, but I'll see what else I pick up along the way. Maybe Deadlands will be an interesting thing to run because that's kind of like that weird frontiers, very similar vibe to it as well, and that was tremendously fun. So I hope you like this video, this recap. I know it went a little bit long, um, but phenomenal experience. If you haven't gotten out to a gaming convention, or if you're in, this region, anywhere in the Northeast, and you can get out to Rising Phoenix next year, I highly, highly recommend it. It was well run. It was really organized. Uh, Plenty of vendors, a lot of interesting stuff going on there. They had they even had like a medieval sword play kind of troupe come in and do 2 shows during the at least 2 shows during that time as well. Plus other kinds of things, organized play and board gaming room and all kinds of stuff. It was a full experience. So I highly recommend going to Rising Phoenix GameCon 2024 will certainly be an experience that you will enjoy. So, as always, thanks for joining. I hope you like this video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I am going to be running out, quite a few videos this upcoming week to kind of make up for the 3 days that I was gone, and some pretty cool stuff. Like I said, I will be reviewing Deadlands once I actually get a chance to start reading through it and see how that matches up with my experience with Weird Frontier. So um, enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe out there. Keep on gaming, and be on the lookout for a game con that you can attend as well. Have a great day.